Welcome back, folks. Today we're doing part 3 of the Honda Snowblower HS828 service. First two parts. First part was the bucket back on its handlebars, and the second part was the bucket on its nose. So we took care of all that stuff, and now this third part. Hopefully, we can wrap it up today. I'm going to show you in this position. This is the final position where you can get most of everything else done. So let's start up at the light. You can pry out the old light bulb with a screwdriver. It's a lot easier when it's warmer. So sometimes in this wintertime, you get a hair dryer, warm this rubber up. It becomes more pliable, and then you just pry it out and take it off. If it's not working, then check all your leads first, and then check your other side down here where it connects. Take this out and let's see, take it out and clean the terminals. A lot of times there's white corrosion on this inside. Clean that out. If you want to upgrade to the PAR 36 bulb, it's a PAR 36 LED. You can go 3000K or higher, 5000, 6500K, 12 watt DC AC. That's the important part. You don't need any modifications. So if it's AC DC, 12 watt, then you can plug it in without any modification. So if you want to do that upgrade, you can do that here. The other one is down here. I haven't done it yet, but you can put the rubber grommet in here because this plastic part breaks so easily. So that's pretty easy. And down here, you can check here. If you're having a problem, like I hear this a lot of times, you see how it's not connecting with the teeth, or it's connecting a little bit and it's skipping on you. All you have to do is loosen up the nut underneath. That's a 12 millimeter head nut. You can put it in there, put it back in, put it up right against the teeth. I hope you can see this, folks. Right up against the teeth, and then tighten it down. And that's very, very easy to do. But I hear this a lot. I hear this problem a lot. Okay, moving on. Let's take off the chute. You put the chute in the high position. You loosen your nut here all the way off. Lower your hat. See, it pulls out. And then pull it out. Okay? So that's to take the cable off. Now, if you have a problem, which I see a lot of times where this is kind of loose, it's vibrating a lot, and it's annoying as heck. But if you want to tighten that up, I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to take these. My camera person's under the weather, so I'm trying to do this with the hands-free setup. Okay, you release your keepers, and then you can pull your chute off. You can clean the inside of this, and what a lot of shops do, and I don't understand why they do this, they'll take a rubber mallet. If they want to tighten up the chute, they'll take a rubber mallet, bang these up to make it tighter. But I don't think that's a good idea personally. I don't know what other shops do. But what I see a lot on these chutes, these are cracked. This is cracked. This is cracked. They have to be welded up for some reason. And you're banging this up. This is part of your bucket. You're banging this up. I don't know if this is damaging the inside here. But what I would rather do is take this inexpensive part here, keeper is what I call it, and put it in the vise and bend the ends down a little bit. Just bend them down just a little bit so you get a tighter fit around your chute, see? So that usually works. Now you want to keep this clean. A lot of people put grease on it. You can put light grease on it, but I don't recommend it. Dan at the Honda dealer, Brian, says when you put grease on here, it attracts a lot of dirt. And then when it gets dirty, then it gets harder to turn. See, this is nice and clean. It doesn't have any grease on it. So when you put the chute back on, it moves nice and easily. Can you see that? It's nice and easy. So keep that clean. Some people will disagree with me on that, putting grease on it. But the shops have seen too many instances of too much grease. They'll grease this is called the worm gear. They'll grease the heck out of this, and then it just builds up. All the grease builds up with dirt, and it becomes harder to work. So that's the maintenance point on here. I'm not going to waste your time showing you how to put it back together because this goes back together the way it comes off. Now at the top, you do want to spray some lubricating oil in here. You see this? And you can put a little bit of light grease right here. And if you notice this is bent, so I'll bend that back. But you want it to snap back. That's my witch from Halloween. Kids had a blast. Well, anyways, this is a common problem where you put this down and it won't come back up. So a little bit of lubricant in here, some very light grease will work. So that's your chute maintenance, pretty much. All right, moving on here. I'm going to check the plug. Now, when I check the plug, I take the two nuts off here for your muffler. Take the muffler off just so I have more room to work. Very easy. Just pulls right off. You want to make sure there's a gasket. Your exhaust gasket, this is brand new. So you want to make sure there's a gasket between the muffler and the head. That's another maintenance problem. Here's your plug. I'll take it out. I use a tool to take it out. It's okay to use a tool to take it out and inspect it. This is a used plug, but it looks pretty good. I mean, I'll clean it up with a wire brush. The electrode looks really good. And then I'll check the gap. I have a gapping tool here. You put it in you want to make sure on the Honda it's 28 to 31 thousandths of an inch. So it slides on the gapping tool right around almost 30, which is just about perfect. And then you can adjust if necessary. But this is an NGK plug that Honda recommends, and that's all I use on Hondas. A lot of times it comes pre-gapped right out of the box. Sometimes you have to tweak it a little bit. So when you put it back in, I put a little tiny bit of anti-seize grease on here. So for 20 years from now, it can come off. These plugs will last a long time. You don't have to change the plug. If your engine is running right and it starts easily and you got a good strong spark, you can test the spark by putting in the plug and turning the key on and put it up against here and look for the spark, see? You see a nice strong spark, then you can reuse it. These things will last a very long time. It's good to have a spare, of course. I mean, for $4, I'd keep a spare. Then I put it back in by hand. I'll start it by hand. Let's see. See, with the muffler out, you have a lot more room. You see how easily it's going in? That's a good sign. If you can't do this by hand, then back it out and try again. And then when you get down near the end, you can use your tool and tighten it all until it's snug. And then, whoops, what I do is I tighten it up a little bit, not too much. Don't use all your might. Just kind of tight. And then your plug is all set. So moving right along, what are we doing here? I'm checking my hydrostatic fluid. Okay, you got two levels here. This is the cold level. I don't know if you can see the oil. So you can see the oil level right there. This is proper. This is the oil level for when it's cold. When it gets warmed up, it expands to the second level. Here's a cup. You don't put the oil. A lot of people ask this. People think they put the oil in here, but you don't. You take this cup out, put the oil in here. And you see these two slots? They're air breather slots. So when you put your cap back on, you don't want to tighten it too much. I tighten it snug. It needs to breathe. The system needs to breathe so that you don't have excessive pressure in the hydrostatic transmission and blow out your seals, okay? All right, let me see what else we can do here. Here's a idle, one of the idle adjustment screws right here. With the black top cover on, there's a hole in the side, and you can put the screwdriver through the hole to adjust this. This carburetor hasn't been cleaned yet. We have a specific video on how to clean the carburetor in frame. Okay, so you can watch that. I'll put a link to it. And let me see what else I do. I'll take the belt cover off, and I will check the belts. You feel underneath. See, let me take the plug. That's for safety reason. I want to take the boot off. You go like this. You feel underneath and feel the belt. You feel for cracks and breaks. Do the same thing on this one. Oh, look at this. Can you see this? It's got a the belt's got a break in it, so I'm going to have to replace these belts. So I got to take the bucket off. Excuse me. I'm going to have to take the bucket off to replace this belt. And while I'm at it, I'm going to replace the dry belt. Even though the dry belt's good, I'm going to replace the dry belt and keep this as a spare. I also want to replace the impeller bearing that's on the other side. The bearing is right there. I'm gonna replace that bearing too while I have the bucket off. So I'll make a specific video for that. That's good. I'm glad I found this belt that was broken. Can you see that? That's gonna blow, when you least expect it. It might last half the winter, and then it's gonna blow on you when you need it. So that's how you inspect your belts. You want to make sure that there's no excessive belt dust around here. It's in the slots. See how it's in the slots? It's not riding up. The idler wheels are nice and true. You see how it's nice and clean in the middle? So the belts are running true. They're not running on the side. And, they're not out of adjustment where the belt is cutting into the edges, okay? And there's another thing that you can do is you can actually adjust this wheel by loosening up this bolt. This nut. You can loosen this up and you can adjust this wheel so it goes in more. If your belt is slipping or not engaging very well, you can adjust this. Let's say that's the regular adjustment. You can adjust it in so you get more belt action. I think I'll have to do another video on that. I can also inspect my springs down there. Can you see the springs? So when you're going through this machine, when it's on its right here like this, down on the ground, you're inspecting everything. So let me put this boot back on. Let me before I, here's your, this is another idle adjustment that you can do. I showed on another video. This screw right here is your fast throttle stop screw. This is for your choke adjustment, which is another topic. But I'm going to put this muffler back on. Okay, I'll put this back on because I want to start it up. I want to check the RPMs. By the way, if this video helped you, please subscribe. I've got over 100 videos now to help you save money on basic maintenance and repairs. That really helps me. I mean, it gives me the incentive to do this. I really appreciate the support I'm getting on the Facebook group Honda Snowblower Enthusiast and on the new channel that I just started a couple months ago. Hopefully it's helping you. It's the whole idea. I mean, I'm retired. I don't have a shop or a business. I just do this for fun. Well, anyways, I hooked up my tachometer. I put this on the, this is one of tachometer, small engine tach, that I used to wrap around the spark plug wire. But I connected it to this so I can just stuck it on there, you know, get a reading on the tach. I already checked the oil. I'll put this away. And I want to check my RPMs. I haven't started it for several days. Oh, I don't have the gas on. So I got to put the gas on. Check the gas. Yep, there's gas in there. I got to wait a second for the carburetor to get gas in it because I run it dry. By the way, you don't have to run it dry between every use. I usually do it at the end of the winter. But during the winter, you really don't have to do that. It's just a side note. Okay, turn the key on. The choke is closed. Let's see if it will start. You see that? That's almost the proper idle RPM. It should be around 2140. So if I want to increase it, or I can do it from this screw right here. Takes a little bit of trial and error. Then you put it in the fast throttle. Okay, on the 828, the proper RPM at the fast throttle is 3,600 plus or minus 150. So it can be adjusted. This is the stop screw. If you got too high RPMs in the fast position, you can turn this in so that it won't go any further. And then if you go too far on your, here's your fast right here, you can feel it stopped, okay? And then if you go a little bit more, then you're starting to put it in the choke position. Did you hear the change in the engine when it was kind of coughing a little bit? That's when it was going in the choke position. If you have to raise your RPMs, you can loosen this nut here. Can you see this? There's a lock nut. And you can use trial and error to adjust your throttle speed in the fast position, okay? I have another video on specifically doing that. All right, after you've done all this, let me see if I checked everything. We got the chute, the belts inspection. We found out on this one the belts have to be changed. We checked the plug, gapped it, and made sure the plug is nice and clean, or changed it if necessary. We checked the hydrostatic oil, and everything else we did in the previous two videos. We got a specific video. If the engine wasn't running right, like if it was surging, then I'd do an in-frame carburetor cleaning on this, which we have a video on that. So you've done all this. I've run it for 5 or 10 minutes. Now I can change my oil. Let's see if I can get this. What did I do with my? All right, you take this bolt, this nut out. That's your drain plug. Here's a automatic transmission funnel that I use. I stick it under here, and then you just drain it. Now, when you're done draining it, if you want to, you can put one of these drains that hoses on. You just screw it in, and then you can leave it in between uses. I wouldn't put it on this side because of the muffler and everything else. I'd put it on this side. You can put it on this side. So you can put it in here, and it'll be like this, waiting for the next oil change. Here's where you check your oil. But oil change is pretty easy. It only takes about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you're good to go. I use synthetic 5W30 oil. Doesn't really matter what kind of oil you use, in my opinion. Probably get a bunch of flack on that, but 5W30 synthetic or regular. The main point that I want to get across is that it's clean oil and it's not too low. You want it on a level surface. When you're checking your oil, this is not level, but when you're checking your oil, you want the oil to come right up here, right there. It's proper. Excepting for the 724, which I'll show some other time. But anyways, I'm pretty much done with the service. Once I button everything back up, well, I have to change the belts, and then after that, I'll do another part next Friday when it's all been buttoned up, and I can test it. I want to do a walk around. It's called a walk around, and then test everything. And a lot of times you have to tweak something. Something might not be exactly right. If you had snow, that would be a very, very good testing. But I want to test everything and make sure it's good to go, so that when you need the machine, it's ready for you. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you think this video helped you. And I'll see you next Friday.